Now let's get started with the NDEB orientation. So how to become a dentist in Canada? What are the steps for you, for a foreign trained dentist, to become a license in Canada that you could work here as a dentist? Okay. All right, so who am I? My name is Ahmed Hafez. I'm a dentist. I did grow up in Canada. I graduated from University of Damascus. I came to Canada and I went through the NDEB equivalency process. Fortunately, I was able to pass my exams on my first attempt. I scored an AFK 91. After I studied a lot of stuff from books and gathered information, and I began after that teaching it. And now I am a licensed dentist in Canada. I'm working. So that's my story. I just wanted to share just so that you know what my context is. And I'm head instructor at Scholars Dental. Okay, so that's pretty much me. And we have a lot of YouTube videos on our YouTube channel that you'll see. Very helpful if you guys, have any questions. If you want to know how to get into UFT, or what's the process like, specialty process, all that is on our YouTube channel. We have a section called Ask Dr. Hafez. You go through those questions. So a lot of tips there are just free that could help you in your research. And in addition to that, you could always book a consult with us and we'll get back to you and have a conversation and explain other stuff to you. Okay. Okay. So the online classes will be starting in, for AFK, will be starting in March. Okay. So today, what are we going to talk about? Pretty much, we used to do this in one session, but we're not going to do it all in one session. We used to do NDEB and AFK in one session, but it takes too long. So, and people start getting tired. So what we found better to do is separate the two. So what we're going to do is, if you're new to the NDEB process, you will benefit. You're going to learn what that is, right? If you're someone that is planning to become a dentist in Canada, or you're planning to become licensed, if you're planning, we're going to talk about that pathway. How to apply to the NDEB, what's the direct pathway, what's the university pathway, what's the differences between those two, and any other questions you guys have as well. So here's the topics we're going to talk about, right? The how to become a licensed dentist, what is the NDEB, how to apply, when to apply, and which AFK to possibly take, the new NDEB 2022 vision that was planned, and now it's 2023, obviously, so the new way it's happening. And direct pathway and university pathway. So let's start with how to become a licensed dentist in Canada, right? So for all of you thinking, hey, I'm a foreign trained dentist, I'm in Canada now or planning to come to Canada, what's the thing I need to do to become licensed? So I like to start backwards a bit so you know what is the end goal for you. What is it that you need at the end? Okay, so here's you. Okay, let's assume you're here. You're a foreign trained dentist. You're in Canada. But, you can't really practice your profession right now, right away. You can't just come to Canada and start practicing, right? So you're sad about that and you want to know what you have to do, right? So what you need to do is you have to, at the end, apply to something called the Provincial Dental Regulatory Authority. Okay? The Provincial Dental Regulatory Authority. That's like an authority that gives you your license to practice. Okay? So you're asking them, hey, I want to use my skills to practice dentistry in Canada. So imagine, in Ontario, some of you, what do you think they're called? Some of you know. So in Ontario, they're called the RCDSO, the Royal College of Dental Surgeons of Ontario. So you have to ask them. That's who you have to work with, and they will have to get you your license, right? So every province has a different dental regulatory authority. So you might be in British Columbia, you applied. So if you have a license to work in one province, it doesn't mean you could automatically work on another one, even though you could apply. Once you have your NDEB certificate, you could apply, but they're two different, like you do it per province in a way. Okay, so for example, in British Columbia, they're called the College of Dental Surgeons of British Columbia. In Alberta, they're called Alberta Dental Association College, right? So But the process of getting your license, the whole process from beginning, like from the NDEB start to the end, is almost the same. It's all the same except for the actual licensing part. Now, the licensing part, someone's asking which one is the easiest. I wouldn't know. I only apply to Ontario because I'm in Ontario and I'm not planning. It's quite expensive to be part of a province anyway. So you're probably paying $2,000 to $3,000 a year. And if you're in the ODA, the Ontario Dental Association, which is a different organization, which pretty much you do need because of automatic insurance and all that, you end up paying like around $5,000 a year. So it's not worth it to be in two provinces, right? But which one is easier? I don't know the other ones. I heard that Ontario is a little bit more strict compared to other ones, but it's not that difficult. Like they're more lenient than the NDEB. That's what I felt when I was dealing with the RCDSO. Okay, so now you understand where you're getting your license from. Now, if you want to ask, hey, RCDSO, how can I want to start practicing, right? Is everybody with me so far? Anybody lost? Let me know, okay? They would say to you, well, you can't just become licensed here. First, you have to show us some papers. And part of those papers is the NDEB certificate. Okay, so now we have a new document that you have to go after, right? It's like a video game kind of, you have this thing you have to get to be able to get the other thing. So to get the certificate or to get the license, you have to have the NDEB certificate. Of course, there's other stuff like English test, the TOEFL still required if you didn't study in English, some university documents, but you already have those most likely. The NDEB certificate is the main thing. Okay, so now this is what the NDEB certificate looks like. So you want to envision your goal, imagine your name here, your university here, and you should think, okay, that's what I'm aiming for. That's what I want to go after, right? So for example, in Ontario, what does the RCDSO want? So the RCDSO in Ontario, this is an example. They want the NDEB certificate. They want an English test, proof of English proficiency, like TOEFL, IELTS, even CAN test. There's alternatives even. Other university papers, right? So what is the NDEB stand for? What does that stand for? The National Dental Examination Board of Canada. So this is one, there's only one. It's not per province. This is for all of Canada. Okay, they test people to make sure they are qualified to be dentists. So the knowledge part is from the NDEB. Okay, the licensing part comes from the regulatory authority body like the RCSO. Okay, so now how do you get the NDEB certificate? Okay, so we talked about you want to go out, you want to get your license. But before you could get your license, you have to get your certificate. So how do you get your NDEB certificate? Well, to get the NDEB certificate, you have to pass what is called the virtual OSCE. Okay, so now it might be getting a little bit tricky. So you're here, right? You want to become a dentist. You ask the RCDSO, okay, how do I get it? They say, well, go to the NDEB first and get your NDEB certificate. Now you go to the NDEB and they tell you, okay, well, you have to do the virtual OSCE. Okay, so now you understand. So now you have to see, can you do the virtual OSCE? This is the board certificate exam. Okay, so you need to do that exam to get your NDEB certificate. This is the exam that everybody has to do to get their NDEB certificate. Not only foreign trained dentists, even, you could say locally trained dentists or graduates from Canada have to also take the virtual OSCE or the OSCE exam to get their NDEB certificate. Okay, so that's for everyone. So what is the OSCE exam? It's like 150 questions, case-based questions, which is like we call ACJ style, and 50 questions MCQ style, like AFK style questions. No biggie. We could talk about that later. Now, you're saying, okay, doc, so how can I take these exams? Let's see. I'm in Dubai. I'm in, I don't know, some other country right now, and I'm in India, like you there. So you're saying, okay, well, can I come and take the virtual OSCE and I'm done? Well, no, not anyone is allowed to take the OSCE. There's rules. So first, you have to be a graduate of an accredited dental program. There's categories. So category 1, okay, is you have to be a graduate of an accredited program. What that means is that you have to be a graduate of one of these universities. So this is category 1. Okay? So category 1, you have to be a graduate of one of these universities. If you're a graduate of one of these universities, UFT, an American university, Australian, New Zealand, Ireland, you're allowed to come, take the virtual OSCE. You get your NDEB certificate, right? So I'm repeating so that you understand the pathway very well, so you're not confused. So you come, you take the virtual OSCE or the OSCE, you get your NDEB cert, and then you apply for license. For example, RTSO, right? That's it. But you have to have gone through that schooling. Okay? So what do people do here that go through an accredited program to become a dentist? Now, why do I mention this? You might say, well, what does that have to do with me? I'm a foreign trained dentist. By the way, if you are a graduate, because sometimes I see a student where, let's say they graduate from Australia, they're coming to the courses, they're like, oh, where do I start? I'm like, buddy, you know, your path is pretty easy. Just go to the virtual OSCE and you're done. You don't need to worry too much. You shouldn't be in the skills or worried about, you know. They're like anxious at beginning, like, oh, what do I have to do? Oh my God, there's so no. You just got one exam. You got, you know. So that's one thing. If you are in this category, sure, you learn this now. Figure out your virtual OSCE and you're good. You don't have much to do. Okay. But what do I mention this pathway? Because in the community now, if a lot of you may be with us in the community and like looking at what's happening, there's a lot of negativity or toxicity, or you could say anxiety, right? And the reason is because there's just a lot of negativity toward the NDEB or toward this process. I don't like that negativity. I feel doesn't help anyone, you know, it doesn't help much. So it just makes everybody anxious, makes everybody live in fear. We have to look at things as they really are in a positive way too. So the reason I bring this up is I want you to see what local dentists, or let's say accredited dental schools, go through to compare what you had to go through, right? So for example, someone here that is, let's say, I want to show you the struggle. Someone that's doing an accredited program, first they go through 4 years of undergrad. So they go to university for 4 years, meaning like they might do basic sciences, biochemistry, I don't know, physics, but they do 4 years of sciences, or any other university even, sometimes you could do that. And you have to keep getting consistently high marks every subject, right? Every test, so that you could even qualify to get into a dental school, right? So this is not easy. Like, you know, in some of our countries where we came from, like I studied in Syria, my high school, like for example, it's one test at the end. I mean, that's a different type of pressure, but this is like consistency, where it's like you're doing it over 4 years, right? And you have to get a certain GPA and all that. And then you apply to dental school, and then you apply to dental school, and there's only 10 in Canada, so it's very like competitive already. And then when you do in dental school, there's also that pressure, you know, like I know some students that are going to UFT now, and there's a lot of stress in the school too. And if you fail, they could kick you out eventually, right? So you have to understand that there's a lot of risks. So they are putting around 8 years of hard work education just to become able or allowed to take that OSCE exam and become a general dentist, right? Now, I know that most of us as a foreign trained dentist, our schools were probably 4 to 5 years. Am I correct? Did anyone have to study 8 years? Did anyone have to study 8 years back home I mean, I'm talking about after high school. You can't include high school, right? So I'm assuming the majority maybe did a 4-year or 5-year. My dental school was a 5-year, okay? And it was right after high school. So we're already ahead. We already saved time, and it's probably less expensive than dental schools here. So they go through a lot. And not only that, they have to like travel too. It's not like a school that's nearby. They have to travel, and maybe some of you have to travel as well, right? So I just want to put that in perspective to understand that when the NDEB, or when this process is made for you, you know, it's kind of equalizing or balancing the time. Like, let's say it takes you 3 years to do this and you studied 5 years. It's like, it comes up to a total of 8. So if you want to practice dentistry here, it's almost like you have to put in that same time to become at that same level. Okay. So try not to look at it as a negative thing. You know, it's something that they opened. We're going to talk about it now more. Okay. Let's continue this part. So we said, who could take the OSCE exam? One category was people that graduate in an accredited program, or this is your category most likely, a graduate from a non-accredited program that has completed the NDEB equivalency process, meaning passed the NDEB exams. All right, that's us, right? Or you know, that's why we're here. They opened a pathway. Great. They opened it, you know, 10 years ago where it's direct. Awesome. That's a good thing. We're happy because a lot of times we want to come maybe to, you know, live here, but we want a way that's easier than university a bit, or maybe, you know, that could give us a chance that without going to university again, right? So they did that. Now, they're not going to do it and make it easy, right? There's going to be a struggle. They need to filter out the people are willing to really work hard for it, the best of the best, right? So now you have the equivalency process. So what are these exams? So what is the path of the non-accredited dental program, right? So that's anyone graduated from university. That's not the ones I mentioned. Like, so if you're a graduate from UK, Germany, you have to go through this process. Wherever, graduate from India, from the Middle East, you have to go through this process, right? So you have to apply to the NDEB first, get approved. So you actually have to be a dentist first, obviously, right? You can't just apply and say, hey, you know, can I take these exams and I pass, and you're not a dentist. You know, you have to actually be a dentist first. So you apply, they need to verify that. After that, you get approved, then you go for your first exam, which is the AFK exam. All right. So most of you are in these phases here, right now. I know some of you are in the ACJ and NDECC. I could answer your questions later as well. So now you do the AFK, you pass. Okay. You have two paths or pathways after the AFK. You either go through what we call the direct, meaning you just keep doing more exams. The step after the AFK is the ACJ. It's another exam. And then the step after that is the NDECC, another set of exams. Okay, it's like one exam, but two components. If you pass all these three, then you're allowed to do virtual OSCE. Okay. The other pathway after AFK is you could go to university. Okay. The university pathway, each university is different, but you end up doing 2 or 3 years almost. And well, guess what? If you did a university in Canada like UFT, let's say, then you're accredited now, right? So passing the exams and completing a university are almost equal. And then both of them allow you to take the virtual OSCE and get your NDEB certificate. Okay. Okay, so this is clear, hopefully, direct and then university pathway. So people were asking about the cost. Well, if you do the direct pathway, we could break it down. I have actually a video breaking down the cost of the whole process, okay? So the AFK exam, you know, let's say your application is like 1,000. Let's just round things up, right? It could be 900, could be, let's say your AFK exam is 1,000. Now you might need to take a course that could be 5,000 to 6,000. So let's say, and you know, let's add up the exam fees. So let's say 6,000, just to be sure. ACJ courses could be around 4,000. Plus, let's say the exam itself could be around 2,000. So what are you looking at here? 1, 2, 8, 8, 12, 14. And that's what I usually say. I tell people for your AFK and ACJ, set aside 15,000 to start with. Okay. Thank you, Fardeen. So Fardeen sent you guys the NDEB cost video. Okay. And then remember, there are programs that are financially assisting NDEB or foreign trained dentists for doing this. So here's the cost of the the AFK and ACJ. Now the NDECC, the exam is around 9 to 10,000. Let's say 10,000, and your equipment to practice could be around 20 to 30,000. Okay, so that's around 40,000, right? And courses could be around 10,000. So now you're looking at 50,000, right? So maybe 50 plus 15. So that's why it depends on how much you spend on tools and materials. It depends on how many courses you have to take. So some people train for a year, some people train for 6 months and pass. There's a lot of variability there. That's why in total, you might be able to do it anywhere from 50 to 80,000. So if you want to go on the higher end, you could kind of say 80. And if you want, like, just in general, hey, let's have some extra in case, you could say 100,000, right? But you could do it in almost 60 or 50, okay? So that's the direct pathway. Now, so you have to think about it that way. Now, there are programs that will loan you this, and each step you pass, they'll give you, some money for the next step, okay? But you have to be a resident in Canada. Now, the other one, the other way, you have to think, okay, well, you did your AFK in your course, so that's maybe like 6,000, right? Or maybe 7,000 in general. Sorry, 8,000. So you did your AFK. Maybe you have to do your ADAT. Then you go to university. So that's not much in general, because university for each year may be charging you 50,000. So you might end up in debt here because you have to take OSAP, they'll loan. And you have also the program. So for example, in UFT, let's break one down. And you have something called the IDAP, which is going to be pretty much like maybe 6 months, and it costs maybe 50 or something thousand by itself. Then you have year 3 and year 4, maybe each one 50, 60,000. So you should put around in mind, it's going to be around 150 to 250,000. Okay. And this is this is mainly like, it's going to be loaned, right? So once you enter university, you'll find a loan from a bank that will help you the first program. Then once you're in there, you'll get help from Ontario, from OSAP to fund the program. Then you'll be under debt, right? And you have to think it's going to be 3 to 4 years. I have a complete breakdown of how to actually like how UFT admission looks like. So I have a video about that and one about Western University, just as an example, okay? So now you guys know the two pathways for the non-accredited, okay? So if you look at this all together, the accredited has to go through the undergrad, get 40 years of dental school, get to the virtual OSCE point. You guys, foreign trained dentists, have to go, you have two options, going to university again or direct. And, you end up paying 80K. It's not bad versus what dental students here, undergrad, even that is even in debt. That could have cost people maybe 40K, right? Plus the 200K. Like I know dentists that graduated from here that are still in debt. Okay. So, and they still have, because you get out and you have like 200,000 or 300,000 in debt, and you start your life, and you're not going to, some people don't pay it off, right? So I'm just saying, a lot of times our mentality from back home are not used to these big numbers. We just think of it like, okay, everything has to be straight out of pocket, which is, not a bad necessarily way, but it's just like, you have to look at things realistically. Like we coming here for doing the direct pathway, we have a better deal. Actually, dentists here probably don't like it that we have this pathway. They don't like that we have a better way, an easier, less expensive, possibly faster way. Like you could do the NDEB direct pathway in 2 years if you do it, if you're smart and you're really, talented at it, and you take the right courses, and you don't distract yourself with work. You could do it probably in 2 years, so you're still saving time, right? If your dental school was 5 years or 4 years and you do it 2 years, you maybe match the years, but you paid less. So I want you to appreciate the process, not look at it as a negative. Looking at it as a negative doesn't help you, just makes you annoyed. Being annoyed is not going to help you study, right? Appreciate what this is. This is a luxury. You don't have to do this. right? No one's saying you have to come here and do this. It's a choice, right? If you want to choose to become a licensed dentist here, which is a big deal, like you're a professional, one of the top professionals here. Okay, so if you choose to be one of that, then you have to go through this process. But no one's forcing you to choose that, right? So I want all of you to be aware of the discomfort, and some of you are already in it and know. But if you're at a level where, let's say, you are comfortable in your life, where you are, maybe you're somewhere that's stable and you're working as a dentist, you might not find it worth it to do this process. So you have to think about that. Because when you take yourself out of where you are right now and come to Canada and start this, let's say you're here as a dentist, you're going to go down for a bit. But when you finish, you're going to go back up and you're going to be higher. So it's up to you if you want to make this, because you've worked already all your life to become a dentist. Okay. And I've done so many consults in my life right now. Excuse me. I've seen so many stories. Okay. Some people are working as a dentist in, let's say, Kuwait or wherever, making $3,000 a month, right? Okay, they're fine. They're okay. They're kind of liking their job. But sometimes you're in a country where you can't get citizenship, so you're not stable. Sometimes you're in a country where your work doesn't feel valued, right? Like you could do really good work, but you feel like you're not making enough to justify that work. So, but if you're comfortable and stable, you might be okay there. That's totally fine, right? Now if you choose that, hey, I want to rise up more, right? And I want to be in Canada where you could make easily 10 to 20,000 a month, right? Then yeah, you will have to go this downhill here. You have to go through that discomfort. And to be honest, there's a slight percentage that actually never make it. So it is a risk. You have to think, is this risk worth it? There is a risk. It's not guaranteed, right? If you fail AFK 3 times, you can't do it anymore, right? So it's not guaranteed. So I want you to think about that. It's a risk, but it's a risk that you're choosing. And most people that do the process, I look at it, are risk takers. And since you are a risk taker, you already made that decision. Because I know that means if you made that decision, most likely you're a risk taker. You did it already. You thought, hey, I'm going to get out of that comfort to get to a higher position, but I'm going to go through all of this trouble. That's fine. And that's something that's awesome, if you're doing that. But no, it's not going to be a smooth road. Okay. It's going to be a bumpy road. There's going to be ups and downs, probably more downs than ups. Okay. But if you're consistent and you push and you do the right things, you will get there eventually. Okay. A lot of people gamble with their first attempts. Don't do that. For example, why are you doing that? Right? Don't go take the AFK and just go, let me go test it out without getting any help, any guidance by myself. You fail one, now you have 2 attempts. You're stressed. You lost time. You lost money. Why do that? You see? So the concept is, don't gamble with your attempts. Try to pass everything on your first attempt. Do your best to minimize the downhill or the, downsides of the journey. Okay. So once you take your virtual OSCE and you could become a general dentist, then, right now in Ontario, we have around 10,800, last time I checked, general dentists for a 14.5 million population. So, there's still, and this is one of the most condensed. So there's a lot of room in all of Canada to have dentists, right? Our passing rates too in AFK last cycle, whoever did our mocks and actually studied, we could see, you could go up to 90%. So if you are we were able to predict from our evaluation tests that we had 90% passing rate if you scored this, and if you scored this, you'd get an 80% passing rate. So and if you studied very well, you studied really good, you have a 90% passing rate from our course from AFK, right? Versus if you don't take, and to be honest, any course is better than no course, right? So if you don't take a course in general for AFK, your passing could be around 15%. That's what we calculated from a public survey that we done. We sent it out. We saw, okay, took course, didn't take course. Doesn't matter which course. Once you take a course, it increases it to 50%. And from our course, it was always consistently in the 80 or 90%, depending on how much you studied and how well you did in the evaluation test. Okay? So don't gamble with your first attempt. Get help, and you'll minimize the risk. So, NDEB process for foreign trained dentist. Final review. Step 1, NDEB application. If you haven't done this, do it. Step 2, you're going to take the AFK exam, pass it. After that, you have to decide direct or university, or you try to do both and see which one opens up for you. I opened both. I did my ACJ in skills exams, and I applied to UFT. I got the acceptance from UFT. I told them, give me a week. My results came out. Okay, I passed. Do I still go to UFT? I decided not to go. That was my decision. I decided that I'm just going to just do the direct. And someone is asking, so this fits here, is job security the same for both pathways? I did direct. I had no issues finding work. Job or getting a job is all about your interview, your personality, your attitude. That's mainly what they want to look for. When you go to any clinic and you talk to them, they're not checking if you know how to do local, like they're seeing how your behavior is. Okay? Now, once you're done, now another extra thing here, that's why I put this big picture. Some universities have switched from accepting AFK to accepting ADAT. Okay? What is ADAT? I have a whole video on YouTube called What is ADAT? Okay. Okay. So, I have a whole video explaining what ADAT is. An American exam, right? So you have to go to the ADA, get a PIN number, right? Or it's called a dent PIN. It's like if you apply to the NDEB, the American one has also a similar thing, applying to ADA, and that's where people do their ADAT exam and their IMBDE exam. Okay. All right. So who recently, or the ones that are for sure now want ADAT? What I know is UFT and McGill. Okay. These two universities want the ADAT. They don't want AFK. So this is why planning is important, right? And this is why we do consults. Once you are a candidate for a consultation, we see that you're a serious person, you're applying to the NDEB, you got approved, you're actually doing the work. We'll do a consult for you, a free consult to plan things for you, help you. Are you interested in university? What are the benefits for you specifically? Does it work or not? Right? And we want to plan, okay, take this AFK and then wait a month, take the ADAT, for example. If you want university, that way you open those doors, or ignore the ADAT. A lot of our students, they take our AFK course, they pass AFK, they pass ADAT and the IMBDE, by the way. Now, there's no such thing as passing ADAT because ADAT is a score from I think 800, but they get a really good average. So they get around 520 to 600. IMBDE, every student that took our AFK course passed the IMBDE. That every student I know that took both passed the IMBDE for sure. Like 100% passing rate in IBDE from our course. What does that mean? You're hitting three things at once, right? So with our AFK course, you could pass AFK, you could do well in ADAT, and you could pass IMBDE. So these are all the things we could plan for you based on your specific situation in a consultation, right? So you guys get this picture now. So ADAT is an optional thing if you really want to get into UFT and McGill. Also, other universities still take AFK. So you have to decide, do you want to do the university process or do you want to do the direct? Once you're done, you want to do the board exams, virtual OSCE. Then once you're done, you'll get your license. So that's the review of the pathway. Now, in order for you to go through that, it is tough. It's not going to be easy. I said this already. I hope I'm preparing you in the right way. It's not, how do I say, it's not meant to be like, oh, let's make everything easy for you just to kind of, it's just a formality. Just come do this exam. Like some countries, if you go, I don't know, I've heard, like, let's say you graduate and you go to maybe to the Gulf area, you do an exam. It's like, you read some papers and you're done. These are tough exams. They're really filtering us out. Okay? So there's going to be a lot of obstacles. And we classified these. I thought, what's the obstacles that, a foreign trained dentist faces when they're going through this journey? What makes him fail? What makes him or her, get stuck somewhere? And these are the 4 things I could think of that are general: knowledge, money, time, and distance. Okay? So what we try to do with our courses is we try to solve these as much as possible for you. Okay? Now, obviously, our job as an education institute, what do you guys think? Educate. Okay? So for knowledge, that's our main job. Our job is to teach you how to pass the exams. We got you covered from that point of view. So you come to us, we'll teach you and teach you how to pass the exams, right? Now, we'll talk more in the AFK orientation about the journey. Not everybody needs the same time. Some people need more time than others. That's obvious, right? You're not all the same people. Okay. Now, when it comes to the money part, so we need to put the real obstacles out there, not just assume everybody's like able to do this. It is your responsibility to manage your financial situation. We can't do that for you. We're an educational institute, not a bank, not a financial institute. We're an education. So you do have to figure that out. That's an obstacle. Figure that out before or during. Try to see how you could figure that out. Now, here's where someone was asking about what institutes do the loans, and we sent you the link, right? Fardeen sent it. There are loans for internationally trained dentists. So there you go. There's a solution. You just have to do the work to actually we even have the links. We have the consult link set up for you you just have to go and do it. So if you're serious, you would go do it, right? If you're not serious, you'd be like, oh, someone solved this problem for me. You have to solve it, right? So Fardeen sent the link. You want to know how to solve this? Go through the link, go book a consult and learn. If you don't do that, then you're not really serious. You're just like, oh, someone make me a dentist in Canada, please. No, that's not how it works. You have to put in the effort. Okay? We could show you the way. You have to walk it. Okay? So loans for ITD, they start you off with $15,000 for AFK. And this loan, by the way, it's CIBC. It's a bank in Canada, if you haven't heard of it. CIBC is a bank in Canada that has a program for foreign trained dentists that will loan you up to $100,000. Pretty much the direct pathway. And they do it in a way, it's a step-by-step approach. So let's say you get approved. Okay, you get approved, you get 15 or 25, I think they even increased it, 25,000 for AFK. So you don't need 25,000 for AFK. You need like 6, 7. So what does that mean? That means they're trying to cover also your expenses for living, right? So just, don't be too luxurious at this stage. This is a phase. If you're luxurious now wherever you're living as a dentist, you have to cut it down when you start this process and then go back up when you're done, okay? You're becoming a student again, okay? So that's good. Why? Because if you could cover your life expenses and your courses and your exams, then you could focus on studying and not need to work, which means better studying and more likely to pass. Very important. Your passing depends on your effort big time, right? If you are working 3 days a week, 4 days a week, your mind is distracted by 2 worlds, an AFK world, NDEB, and there's this other world, work and job and responsibility. And you also may have your own life and social. Like if you're married, if you have kids, you have your family world. So the less worlds you have in your mind that are distracting you, some people say, what if I'm working 1 day? It's still a world that you open now, right? You're working that 1 day. It's a thing you think about. You might go to work. You might have something happen that disturbs you. Someone may tell you, oh, you did this wrong. It may bother you, come back. You're thinking about it. It's something that's occupying your mind, right? So I do see people working full-time in pass. I see people working part-time in pass. I see people that don't work and fail. It's variable, but generally speaking, if you don't work, you have a higher passing rate. I have a survey where not working and taking our course, higher passing rate. Actually, there was 100% passing rate for people that took the course twice and were not working. So I'm just saying, work, even if it's 2 days, it's occupying your mind. So if you could do this financial assisting program, have it help you live without needing to work, and just all you need to do is focus on make that your world. Make AFK, ACJ, NDEB your world for 2 to 3 years. Finish it smoothly. You'll be you're done. You could work, you'll be making money, you'll be practicing professionally as a dentist. So it's really good to look at. Okay. Now, we also try to help with convenient payment plans. Okay. We are one of the first courses that started this. And we actually split it up pretty well. So if you register early, we could do a 5 payment plan. Okay. So if you register early, we could split it up over the months of the course. 5 payments, will reduce the AFK course for you per month, right? And we don't overcharge. We don't charge interest. We don't charge. It's the same price of the course. We split it, by the way. This is a major advantage that like maybe others, if they do installments, they increase it. We thought, hey, you know what? Here's the price of the course. If people want to do installments, let's just take that price and split it. We know they're going to continue. We know they're going to like the course. Unless they have a life event, they might want to transfer to the next course. You can't cancel the course. Once you have a contract and you're like, okay, I'm ready to take this course. But you could transfer to the next course. You could, we're flexible a bit with that. We have policies on how to transfer. Okay. So our course right now is $5,500. And depending on where you are, so if you're in Canada, there's tax. And then depending on which province, the tax varies. If you're out of Canada, there's no tax, which is awesome for you. So you don't have to pay tax. But then, if you're in Canada, you get the tax benefit anyway. So we are a certified educational institute in Canada, by the way. We should have maybe mentioned that. But we are a certified educational institute in Canada. We could give you a form that we could offer you that's Fardeen saying, the T2022 form. That gives you a tax benefit. So if you're in Canada and you pay $5,500, you could get up to 30% or 35% back from that. So you're actually not paying $5,500 anymore, right? But of course, you have to go to your accountant, take the form, depending on your income and all that. That's an accounting thing. But you'll benefit from that to claim on your taxes. Okay. That's if you're in Canada. But if you're outside of Canada, obviously you can't do any of these. You're not charged tax, but you also can't claim tax. Okay. So unless you have an address here or something and you file taxes. Okay. So what did we say? We have convenient payment plans with no interest, right? No additional fees. And from our first payment, like from the first payment you make, we'll print and ship to you the book, so you start reading. So we even have a plan to start you early. Okay, I don't want to talk about the AFK course, so I don't want to mix messages here. AFK course we'll talk about that in the AFK orientation. Okay, but you guys got the idea. So that money problem could be solved. You have to figure it out. Here's the way, walk the way, take steps, and we have payment plans. The next obstacle could be time. Very important. The most precious thing, right, is time. Figure out how much time you actually have. So this is where consults come in play. You really need to assess how much time do you have to study. What you want to do is plan your life so that most of your time or all of your time, the most of it can be put into the world of NDEB. AFK, ACJ, that's it, right? You want to try to minimize anything else. If you don't have to work, don't work. If you don't have to do unnecessary things, don't. Okay? So if you could do that, great. Now, let's look at what time means. First of all, there's time and means of you don't have your schedule doesn't allow you to attend classes. Let's say we solve this problem for you. Like we have solved so many problems with our innovations. So let's say you cannot attend a class and you need flexibility. Let's say, oh, I can't do Monday, or I can't do this day, or we have a pre-recorded structure where you have the whole week, and all our courses kind of take that similar effect. Okay, so we have all of these things in a way where it's flexible for you. That's one of the things that people love about our courses. They say flexibility. So we solve that. Waiting for so scheduling wise, okay, you shouldn't be worried anymore. We figured that out for you. However, you still need time to study. Okay, so based on you, okay, are you working? Do you have to work full time or part time? Do you have family responsibilities? Are you a type 1 or type 2 student? I call them. So type 1 meaning, I say someone that just graduated, you know, doesn't have kids, or maybe not married, doesn't have to work full time, can actually study full time, doesn't have to work at all. I classify that as a type 1. That means you have so much time, you just graduated, you have no responsibilities that much. You'll be able to pass on your first attempt taking the course maybe. Type 2, you got kids, you got family responsibility, you have to work, different situation. You might need a year, you know, to do one exam. So what's important, this is where, guys, you could book a consult and we could talk about it. If you are, you know, just book the consult and we'll have one of our staff members call you. Her name is Kaveri. She talks about all these things. And then eventually we could do a consult, me and you, in planning once you're getting closer and advancing more steps. When it comes to distance, also we covered this. So our course is mainly online, so you don't have to worry wherever you are in the world. But you know, some people have this concept that online sounds kind of like, is that real? Yes, it's better than in class. I guarantee you it's better than in class. At this point, I guarantee it. I've done it so long that I guarantee it's better than in class. Okay? You have to figure out your way to Canada, obviously, eventually, because even if you could do exams in other countries, you still have to eventually get here for your NDECC part, right? Okay. We did have, sorry, what do you mean? Both, you mean as in class and, so yeah, so we did in class before too. We have in class and online, but what happened when COVID happened, we like our online was getting better with the way we're doing it. We learned so much from before. We started it so early that we learned all the, you know, how to polish it, how to make it best. And we just thought like, wait, why are people doing in class? Like, it's just inefficient. Why are you driving somewhere twice or 4 times a week, wasting, you know, maybe 2 to 4 hours driving, being exhausted? Online, the way we're doing it is going to give you the best educational efficiency. Okay. So to help you understand this, book a free consult with us. Fardeen's sending out the link. Okay. So when you book a consult, it has to be approved. It doesn't get approved automatically. So what happens is we have someone on the team that passed AFK, took our course, passed AFK. Her name is Kaveri. She'll look at your consultations and contact you and look at your situation and help you and see which stage you are. If you are, I usually do consults when people are, you know, done their application and got to the point where they're ready for their AFK, and then we could plan. I help plan. Okay, well, you want to do AFK, then ADAT, or AFK, then IMBD. I help you plan which course to take, see your time. I help you with that. But you'll go through Kaveri first to make sure, like, you know, to help you with the initial stuff. Okay. So book a consult. Even if you're not going to get approved, you'll be on there, and then we'll get in touch with you through WhatsApp, even just to make it convenient, and we'll help you plan. This is if you're serious about the process, obviously, right? So that's pretty much it for that part. So we said you have 4 obstacles. Knowledge, we got you covered. Money, you got to figure that out. We're showing you ways. Time, we have that figured out for you, but you have to make time available. That's what you have to do as well to study. Distance, pretty much solved. Now, we all have obstacles. Everyone will certainly have obstacles. You will have problems during this journey. It's not going to be smooth 100%. In order to pass the exams, you must put the effort to overcome these obstacles. That's the difference between people passing and people not succeeding. Okay? The difference is between the people that succeed and don't are the people that succeed deal with problems better. They have all these problems on their way. They deal with it. They deal with it. They fix it. They figure out. They don't blame the NDEB for everything, right? You have a problem. What can I do to make it better? You do it. You blame the NDEB. What does that mean? That means you can't fix it because it's not your problem. It's the NDEB's problem. Well, then where are you going to get in life with that attitude, right? So the concept is, while you're doing this journey, try to put the blame on yourself for every failure, for every obstacle, because that way you could go, okay, how can I solve this? Instead of saying, oh, this sucks, the NDEB made this difficult. Why is it so difficult? It's their fault. Well, then what are you going to do? Nothing? Just do the same thing and keep failing? No, you have to change what you're doing. It's a game. You want to beat the game? Change your how you play. That's it. Okay? You have to overcome them. Won't be easy. Okay? So someone is asking, what about taking the course while waiting for approval? And it's a good idea. So I do recommend that you take the course while waiting for approval, because it gives you a head start. And then you could decide if you want to retake the course or just come back for mocks. You could decide, or you can even study on your own. But I recommend starting earlier, because no one knows how much time they actually need until they are studying. Okay? So 2 paths. Apply to NDEB and do AFK, and then at the end you're going to do virtual. So the end is the same, but the beginning also is the same. Another question, would we have to pay full price again to retake the course? No. So we have alumni discounts. Another thing I forgot to mention, alumni discounts is for, if someone is retaking the course, they get around 40% discount. Okay, so, immigration. Plan how you're going to come to Canada. Start doing that. I'm not an immigration expert, so don't ask me about immigration. Kaveri actually might know some more knowledge than me. So if she's contacting you, that's why she does the initial contact, gets you through that. And then I could do the consult when you're ready for AFK and planning that. You could take AFK and ACJ exams in other countries. Remember these things. You could. You don't have to be in Canada. There are other countries. So good question. Someone is asking, do we have to go to Toronto? No, you have to look up where the countries are. So, and they're prometric. And I've even heard things that you could find them in countries even not listed on the NDEB website. But I can't say that because I can only say what's listed on the NDEB website. So you can go check the NDEB website, what's listed. It'll say oh, we're doing it in Australia, New Zealand, maybe UK. I'm not sure the countries, but you have to check that. Okay. But there are other countries that are in Europe that you could go do them, right? Instead of if you don't want to come to Canada, or somewhere where a visa is easier. Some figure out how to come to Canada on a student visa. So you could kind of try to get into a college, come on a student visa, and then not take it too seriously, but you just have to attend. And then that's a way to get into the country too. Okay. Question, can I keep the content of online courses so I can review it too? No. So the course is an access. You access it for 6 months. Once you're done, you don't have access anymore to that course. Okay. We'll print and ship books to you and the questions, and you have that. So you want to take notes, but you have that to review. Okay. The other thing is you could do the exam on a visa, on a visiting visa. So let's say you plan that, okay, I'm coming to Canada during my exam as a visitor. You're still allowed to do the exam. You don't have to do the exams like the AFK and ACJ. You don't have to be a citizen. You don't have to have a PR. Okay. When you come, where are you going? Think of these things too. If you could plan, for example, the NDECC now is in Ottawa. So maybe you want to be in Ontario because it's easier to get to Ottawa, but don't make that a limiting factor. If you're able to come to Alberta or wherever, it's fine. Okay. Our NDECC centers even are in Toronto area. So our NDECC clinical practice is in Mississauga and Toronto area. Okay. So you could consult our immigration experts that we have. We have a link for them also on our website. So if you go there, you could consult immigration if you need help with that. Okay. So the direct pathway, application, AFK, ACJ, NDECC, sorry, this should be NDECC, and then board exams. And AFK could help you pass the IMBDE in the US and also the ADAT, which helps you get into 2 Canadian universities. This is the summary. All clear? Okay. Apply to NDEB. If you guys wait, you'll see the answers coming. Apply to, so the direct pathway. So we're going to talk about direct pathway. And we're not going to focus on the university. I have some videos on YouTube you could watch about how to get into U of T and stuff. But it all starts with AFK. So the direct pathway, apply to NDEB, plan your immigration, AFK exam, ACJ exam, NDECC, and virtual OSCE. Let's start with the first step, NDEB application. Do this ASAP. Someone was asking right now, is there an expiry date? It's always good to get this done early. There's no expiry date. Okay? So why are we delaying this? This is one of the biggest obstacles, and don't wait for immigration. Don't wait to come to Canada. Don't wait for all of that. You could do it from it's easier to do it from your country. It's actually easier to do it if you're near your graduation area. Okay? You could go do the documents yourself. You could ship things yourself. The NDEB just needs to see the documents, right? So do it anywhere. You'll pay a fee, so you have to open an account. Opening the account is around maybe 800 to 1,000 Canadian dollars. You open that account, doesn't go away, doesn't disappear. You don't get you have an account now. You enter your information. You send them the documents they want from you. If you get approved before you come, perfect. That's an exam itself. That's how I look at it. The application is an exam. Okay? If you're allowed to do the exam anywhere, anytime, I would just do it, right? Don't wait, because approval, and this is why I have this big gap here, so I could draw. Approval could take 5 to 6 months. So imagine you're like, okay, I'm ready now. Now you're ready to take the AFK, let's say, in August 2023. Some people think this way, right? And it's fair, because other exams are easier to apply to. So someone is asking, once you have the profile accepted, is there a period of time given to complete the process? All right. So what I know is, So what I know is that once you open your profile and get approved, there's no limited time. But once you pass ACJ, you have 5 years to do NDEC. Okay, that's what I understood from the NDEB. So let's say now you are planning to do the August 2023 exam, and you're like, okay, I'm ready, right? So our course starts in March 2023, and you're like, okay, I'm ready. It's Feb. If you decide to apply now to the NDEB, you're not going to make the August exam, guaranteed. Okay, you're not. It takes 5 for you to get the papers and send it, and then the NDEB receive it and then start reviewing it. It's going to take 6 to 8 months probably for you to get approved. Okay, like that's almost a year. Think of it like that. So wherever you are now, start your application. Okay, no reason to delay it. Start it, get approved, then you can do the AFK whenever. A question, can your AFK course help with AFK and IMBD together? Yes, I answered saying that you could. AFK course will help you pass the IMBD exam, the AFK exam, and do well on the ADAT exam. So all 3, okay? Everybody that took our AFK course and took the IMBDE passed the IMBDE. 100% passing rate in IMBDE. IMBDE is easier than AFK. That's the course is the AFK is so like difficult that the course will make you pass IMBDE a lot easier. It's 100%. Okay. So is it emphasized enough now how important it is to start your application process, everybody? Hopefully that's clear, right? So you want to make an account. You'll put some info. They will want a notarized photo ID, maybe your passport or driver's license. There is a fee to open the account, as I mentioned, right? The AFK course duration is around 6 months, 5 to 6 months. Okay. So it's 5 and a bit. Yeah. Make it so what you're going to do for the NDEB application, make an account, send in your documents that they need, and see what they want from you. They're going to want a dental degree. Now, I'm not saying anything about this specifically because they keep changing. Once they wanted the certified copy, they changed it a few years that they want the original. They change it back. They want certified copy. So you should see the latest thing, what's on their website from in your profile, what they need. They'll tell you in your profile. Once you open it, they'll say, this is what we need from you. So see if you need the original or the translation, or sorry, you do need a translation, but see if you need to send them the original or a certified or notarized copy. Okay. So someone in the chat is saying right now they want a certified or notarized copy. Sure. It might change next year. So that's why, I'm keeping it open. You should be able, you're smart people, you're dentists, right? You're going to be able to open some links and see what they want from you, right? Mark transcripts. So mark transcripts is basically your scores from the university. They're going on a translation and they want one. Here's the part that's tricky, the sealed stuff. So because why? Because you have to communicate with university. And I know some of our universities, guys, they don't like to communicate, they're not part of the world. So they're just like on their own, doing their own thing. Especially if you're in a country that maybe there is a war going on or, instability, it's harder. But, talk to the NDEB. Sometimes they help with that. They might go, okay, well, if you get a lawyer, maybe sign something that you're, but try the regular way. Don't make yourself too weird in front of the NDEB. Don't say things that put you as a weird, like a highlight, right? Just try to do it the regular way. Okay. Be low profile, right? I'm not aware of the ADAT and IBDE application process. I know if you go to my ADAT video, you'll see I talk about it a bit and I show you the links, but you have to going through it. I don't know for sure. It's not going to be crazy amounts. It's probably going to be a few $100, I'm guessing. And those exams happen. The IBDE happens more frequently. The ADAT happens, I think, from March to August, from what I remember. Okay, so if you go through the videos for the ADAT, you'll see. So these are things you need that your university sends to the NDEB, which is the trickiest part. So mark transcript sealed from the university and confirmation degree sealed from the university. I've heard that some need good standing. Does anyone know here? Do you need a good standing? Does everybody get this, or is it different countries? Or So I'm trying not to say names just in case that we're recording. I don't want to mention the names, right? So, but someone is saying yes, everybody, I did send mine. Okay. So some countries require extra documents like internship and stuff. So you could also, what is good standing? So good standing is like a document. Let's say you worked in Saudi, okay? And you are part of their, member RCDSO or whatever they have that's licensing you. It's like a document saying, hey, I didn't cause any trouble with them, okay? You didn't do any malpractice. You didn't do any scams. You didn't do, that's like good standing, okay? So just whoever, so I didn't need a good standing, all right? Because I actually didn't work in Syria. I just graduated, but I didn't apply to their licensing body. So I didn't actually practice. I just came here already because I grew up here. So I didn't need, I was already a citizen. I think every country maybe needs it. It's actually not just any country it's not about where you graduate only, it's where you worked. So the more countries you worked in, the more good standings you need, right? So this West thing you're saying, I'm not familiar with that, but I read it on the Western University. So London University accept that, but I haven't seen anything on the NDEB website that accepts that. You have to ask them. That part I don't know. So you guys now know these are the things that they may require. Just to give you an idea, what is a notarized copy and translation? This is a mistake I remember not knowing, and then I was like, whoa, no one explained this to me. So if you have an original degree, okay, a notarized copy means that, sorry about this X, just ignore the X. So a notarized copy means someone will, you go to someone that's licensed to do this, okay? So it's either a lawyer in Canada or a notary public. If you're not in Canada, you might have to go to the Canadian embassy, right? So the NDEB for me didn't accept like stamps from just like in Syria, for example, right? They just accept stamp. They want like a Canadian certified person, okay? So what I did is, so you have your original degree, you go to a notary public, they themselves copy it, like photocopy it, and then put their seal. That's it. That's pretty much it. It's all based on trusting this person. Okay, it's kind of like if you photocopy it yourself, okay, and take it to the notary public, you can't do that because they don't know if you changed something, right? They have to photocopy it themselves. They photocopy it and they stamp it, okay? To say this is original. I know this was a copy of the original. I did it myself, okay? Maybe it's $10 or $20 per document. Then you have, what is a translation? So the translation is having a copy of your degree. Like let's say it's in Arabic, right? A copy of the degree, and then there's a translation in English. So when I sent this to the NDEB, they looked at all of this together as one document called the translation. So when I had my copy of degree in Arabic and the translation in English, they looked at this all together as one document called the dental degree translation. So it's not the degree. It's not your dental degree. Okay? Does that make sense? So because I was just like logically, you know, sometimes logic doesn't work. I was logically saying to the NDEB when I was talking to them, I'm like, wait, don't you have the degree just there? Like this right here? Isn't this copy? Because at first they said this is not accepted from me, by the way. So when I sent them I didn't send them the original. I sent them a copy. Actually, I don't think I even sent them that. What I sent them the first time was this. And I'm like, they got the degree. Okay. And it's translated. Isn't that the degree and its translation? Like, there's the English. They look at me, no, we're missing your degree. They told me you were missing your degree. I'm like, but it's right here. It's I was like, it's right there. But they're like, no, that's not. That's a translation of the degree. Even though there's a degree copy in there, but it's not, I need your original degree. Or a certified, copy of the original. So I had to go to the notary public, get a certified copy of the degree, send it separately. And then I'm like, well, how do you know if this is the same as this? They're like, we test that out on ourselves. Don't worry, but we'll figure that out. You know, I'm like, okay. So they just need that. Okay. So just be aware of these things. If it's helping anyone, I'm glad. So again, make an account, info photo, maybe 900 to 1,000, dental degree, notarized copy, right? And translation, 2 different documents, right? Notarized copy and translation. Send your marked transcripts, translation, marked transcripts sealed from the university. These are 2 things that are sealed from the university. Good standing, some countries might require. The confirmation degree is another tricky part. Okay, so some questions here that are related. ADAT exam cost me $690. Good to know. See, $100, a few hundred. Okay, hopefully it's not in the thousands like the NDECC. Yeah, photo address. Yep. Yeah, there's the name change. If you have that, then I'm not familiar with that too much, but they do say like a proof of name change. The dental degree needs to be notarized from Canada and not from our home country university. Your university, I think, is not enough. They need to see like, well, you're sending a copy, right? So I don't know if that's going to work. It has to be Canadian notary. Like, think of it as, I'm someone in Canada. If I want to get a job called I certify things, they have to take a Canadian thing. They have to be licensed to do that Canadian wise. They don't know if other countries are bribing or whatever, right? They don't know if that, maybe you got that and you just got it stamped and you're someone that's not really a dentist. I don't know. Canada wants a Canadian notary. Because if the Canadian notary is a scammer, they could punish them. But they can't punish a scammer abroad, right? So that makes sense, kind of, right? Canadian embassy or any Canadian notary in your country. So it has to be a Canadian certified notary, I guess, right? So The confirmation degree, what is that? This was one of the trickiest things. Like now we talked about the original degree and the translation, all that, sharing with you my mistakes so you avoid them. The confirmation degree is a document the NDEB gives you. It's two halves. Part 1, like up here, and then part 2 down here. You need to fill up the upper part. So you fill up the upper part. And then you send it to your university. Good luck with that, right? Okay. Then you send, then the university fills up the lower part. And you guys have to match in your dates, okay? So your date that you put in has to match the university's date. And you don't know what's going on. You send the document to the university, you're hoping they did the right thing. Then the university will have to put, you know, ideally, if you could put the transcripts, original, from the university, along with the confirmation degree in an envelope, seal it from the university, and then send it directly to the NDEB. That's a confirmation degree. Any questions about that? So if the envelope goes to you and then you ship it from yourself to the NDEB may not accept it. They say, hey, why did it have to go to you first? That's suspicious. Did you open it and do something? We want it directly from the university. If the envelope is open anywhere along the way, the NDEB will not accept it. So it's tricky. And if these dates on this part and this part don't match, so my experience with it was a little bit annoying. For example, on my dental degree, we had 3 dates. There was a graduation date, a degree date, and then some other date. I didn't even understand what that was. It was like some sort of giving you some like note date. I had no idea. I'm like, which date do they want? So I tried a date, the NDEB, the university, and I had a friend go to the university, take the document, fill up their part. They put a different date. We sent it, NDEB rejected. So, okay, well, what date do I put? So sometimes you have to tell your university, hey, university, like, just can we agree on the date so that we put the same date? So you could put a date, the university could put the same date, and then you want to send it to the NDEB. Now, the university might not do that stuff. They might not ship things, or they might be slow. They might lose it. Who knows? So, like, you might be able to get someone in your home country, or if you're there, and you could ship it yourself. Just put that it's shipped from the university. Like, just you're doing it on the behalf of the university, as long as you didn't open it because it's sealed from the university, right? So the confirmation degree should have, no, the confirmation degree is just a document the NDEB gives you that you fill. That's it. And they want original transcripts from the university in a sealed envelope. These are the 2 things they want from the university directly. Is that clear? Okay. All right. So now you sent all your stuff. Now you wait for approval. You can not apply for any exams until you get approved. NDEB says maximum 22 weeks, which is 5 to 6 months. They may take longer. Do you waste time or start studying? Someone is asking this question. While I'm waiting for approval, should I start studying? I recommend it. Okay? It's always good to start early. You do not even know what you're facing until you're in it. You might go in it and go, whoa, I need more time. Okay? So again, book your free consultation. That's what we do. We try to plan out when, we estimate for you when you'll be approved and which exam you most likely take. And based on that, which courses that makes sense to take. Now, another thing is on the NDEB website, if you go to resources, right, you could find something called creating your NDEB profile. There's even a video there that helps you to understand how to do that. They have a really other cool resource. And look, there's 2 cool things that the NDEB added. This tool here, which is you could select your country and see what documents you need. And then another tool here where you can actually get like a consult with the NDEB where they could help you if you need any application guidance. Very cool. I'm yet to see what the feedback is. Now, once you send your documents, you're going to see them in your profile like this, and then they're either going to be in this status, not received, received, under review, approved, rejected. So if you get rejected for one of them, you have to fix it. If they've received, good news, they're received. Now you just have to wait for reviewer or submitted for review. Hope they all get approved. Your goal is to get them to received, to approved, and great. That's when you're approved. Now you could apply for AFK. But wait, should you have been already studying though? You don't have to, you could study before you even get apply, right? So that's the smart way to do it. There's alternative ways. I don't like going into that. Try to do the normal way. Affidavits, you could call them and get a lawyer to kind of like sign something that, okay, you swear that you graduated. But you know, if there's no reason to do it, don't. Everything I sent got approved, but my status hasn't changed from second verification. Did you maybe call them and see if you could, can you register for the AFK? You have to try that, right? So the NDEB exams, in short, AFK, we have an orientation coming up. A lot of you have AFK questions. Sign up for that orientation. I'm going to talk about the AFK exam and the courses and how it works. 200 question MCQ. ACJ is the one after. You'll have clinical cases. It's kind of theory, but cases. And then NDECC is the clinical skills component, 8 projects, situational judgment component, 10 cases or scenarios. Okay. And we have courses for all of these. And then you have board certification to virtual OSCE at the end. These are the direct pathway. Timeline and important dates that you want to know. Okay. Know when your documents were received, because the NDEB says it takes, 22 weeks from the time the documents are received. That's why I like to use that. Now, maybe I'm being too wordy. I'm being too AFK with them. Like, hey, you said when received, 22 weeks. So, but they're human. It might take longer, it might take shorter. So you don't know. But I would say know when they were received. So you could calculate, okay, maybe from the time they're received, it might take 5 to 6 months. Will I make it to the NDEB, to the AFK exam or not? Okay. AFK exam dates. You have to know these now. You have to know them by heart. They happen in Feb and in August, right? Everybody knows this. This is your first. Don't worry about ACJ too much. Focus on this. ACJ happens in November and May. Okay. So that's why you might most likely miss the ACJ that's after your AFK, which prolongs it a bit, but that's fine. And then NDEC happens every week now. So AFK, for you guys, you're in this position. You want to know it's Feb and August. Courses start the month before. So the month after. So March for the August exam and September for the Feb exam. Okay. So kind of know this pattern, right? So if you draw it on a timeline, you have Feb is the AFK exam. August is the AFK exam, right? So exam. When do courses start? You have September that teaches you until Feb. And then you have March that teaches you for August. Make sense? So that's when the courses start. Now, let me put one more date. So let me kind of change some of these colors so it's a little bit nice here. So the courses, like this, and courses, right? So let's put this as a course and course. Now, this is one of you is asking, if I get approved this and that, okay. What's an important date is the AFK exam registration opening date. So the opening date is changing a bit. It's like sometimes it used to be a certain month every time. Now it's okay. So for example, it used to be that the August exam, so blue is going to be our opening date. For the August exam, the opening date used to be in April, for example. And for the September exam, for the Feb exam, the opening date was October. So I used to memorize it that, hey, the opening date for the registration of the AFK exam happens in the month after our course starts. This cycle that's coming up, so the August 2023 exam, the opening date is in March, right? So it's actually better because that way you could start the course and immediately in the first week, if you got a seat or not. Right? And then we do in our first 2 weeks free transfers. So there's no risk. Okay. You pay the payment, you get your books, you start the course. If you find in the first 2 weeks that I'm not going to go for that exam, let me transfer to the next course, we transfer you for free. But once you start taking more, we have to start applying a charging system. We'll that's something else. But we still could do transfers within like 1 or 2 months if you need. Okay. So why am I saying this? Now, there's also something called the closing date. What's more important is the opening date, because seats sometimes get fully booked in the first hour. So really, your limitation is not when the registration is closing, it's when it's opening, because when it's opening, it might get booked all in that first day. So you have to be ready for that. So let's say the closing date, like the registration for AFK closes in May. Let's just say, right? You might think, hey, I just have to be approved before May. But no, you might come when you're approved before May and find that there's no seats. You have to be approved. It's better to be approved before the registration opening. Don't think about the deadline. Think about when it opens, because most likely right now seats are getting booked fast. How to save a spot? You have to register. So you sit down, okay, at your computer, okay, half an hour before the registration opening. They tell you the date and time. You sit down, you keep refreshing like this. Okay, refresh. Okay. Once the time hits, you see it open, you're like, yes, and you start registering. That's what we used to do. You have to just, hope it works. So there's a lot of planning that goes into this. So for example, if I'm going to do a general plan for all of you. If you do March course, going for the August exam, right? What tends to happen, let's hope let's assume you're doing it in one cycle, you could pass. What tends to happen, you need around 10 weeks. So 2.5 months for the results. So that's August, September, maybe somewhere in October, you'll get your results. Well, guess what? The exam of ACJ is in November. So what you do is you don't really go into the November exam. You might have to go into next year's May. So you'll do the May 2024 ACJ. Okay, just kind of know the pattern. That's what's going to happen. However, we have systems that you could start your ACJ even if you didn't pass the AFK, so that you could not waste time, so you could study. And if you don't pass the AFK, we could transfer you back to the AFK as a repeat, or, we have ways that the goal is not waste time. Do this the most efficient way possible. Okay. So again, everything is going to be personal to people. I could do your personal consultations once you book them and you go through through Kaveri and everything. Now, if you haven't done anything yet, just if there's something you need to remember, what could you do? Open an account, okay? Get approved, plan your immigration, prepare for the AFK that you think you will be taking. Could be a prediction. That's it. If you have time, maybe open also an ADAT account as a backup for the IMBDE and ADAT exams. I think these are the initial steps, right? That's it, everybody. You could book your free consultation to figure out when to begin preparing for AFK. We'll have our staff members, Fardeen or Kaveri, contact you through WhatsApp, give you guidance in the beginning. When you're ready, they'll book you a consult with me, which is the next step. And then we could plan how you're going to do your AFK and everything. So, that's our plan. Thank you for coming. I hope that was beneficial. And I think now we could go into the Q&A session.